Right. All right, so I'm going to get started. Um, Welcome. I know I don't probably not on camera because I keep moving around and I will continue. Most of this will be sharing screen. So there is a handout. There's in the chat, there is a link to a self-enroll to enroll yourself into the accessibility course. For those of you in the classroom, there's a bit.ly reduced. It's CRYXA6 is how it ends. And that just, we're not necessarily going to use that, but that's for, um, we're going to be following what's in that course, going through, there's basically 5 modules, and the goal is to just practice everything. If you look on the handout for today, I'm going to go grab one. Um, Today's goals are not to fix everything, but I would, if you have an older Canvas course or you know you're going to copy your fall 25 course into your fall 26 course, then work in your fall 25 and get it as accessible as possible over the summer or the next few months, or at least start on the first couple documents, the syllabus and things like that. So we're not fixing everything today. Good morning. There's a handout, Craig, if you want to grab it. Um, but we're going to learn the goals is to how to clean up your course. If you have tons of old files and 7 copies of the syllabus, why don't we get rid of 6 of them? So it doesn't show up that you have 7 inaccessible files, you only have 1 because you're not using the other 6. So how do you use the tidy up tool to clean up your course? And then we have 2 different accessibility scanners, one that Canvas created and one that we purchased. What are the pros and cons of the 2? And then what are some of the most common things that are flagged, the easiest to fix? Start with those first. So that's kind of the goal. So I'm going to, whoops. Yes. Okay, so let me share my screen. Where is Zoom? All right, where is there we go. All right, so I should be sharing that course accessibility training. The chat should have right, you can. If that's what the link is off to the right. It self-enrolls you in this Canvas course. For those of you at home, there's 2 handouts. It's all stapled together for in class. So the first 3 pages it's titled the companion sheet. It's just step-by-step kind of what we're going through today. A little bit of room for note taking. And then the accessibility checker, when we get to where we do a scan, what does it mean to not have alt text? Why is that important, sort of thing? So there's that handout. So those are the 2 handouts for today's session. That's the self-enroll link. I just put it here so you can see it, or if you want to share it with somebody else, but that'll get you to this. So we are going to go through what this course kind of recommends. Yeah. Course accessibility or Canvas course accessibility training. Yeah, so that's a link to it, just enrolls you in the course as a student automatically, like if you go to that link. If you just up in a URL, so open up a tab. Okay. Yes. So the whole link is this, but I just saved you from having to type instructure.com/enroll/ the bit.ly just shortened it. So this will have resources. I do intend to add more to it, like a library kind of thing, but just getting it built in time for this class was Mhm. Thank you, Paul. I'm sorry. If you're wondering, Bitly's just a free website that if you have a really long URL that you want to share, you paste it in and it makes up a shortened one, Bitly dot, and then it'll give you a code. You can change that code as long as nobody else has used it. I actually changed it to CR1 because it matched the real code in the course. But I could have made it today or, something like that. If you want to pay for Bitly, it can give you click statistics, how many times if it's a course you shared it with your students, how many people actually went to that website and that sort of thing. But the free version allows you um, to change what it is called. It's a nice little Tiny URL is another one that does that. If you've ever seen Tiny URL, that's what it does. Takes long links and just shortens it for being able to handwrite it out. All right. We all good? All right. Joe is my in-class assistant, um, so what we're gonna do first is use the tidy up tool to clean up the course. So once we get, I'm gonna do my walk around. Um, Time, pick a course you want to fix. Whether it's so go to your dashboard, or if you need to get to an older course, go to courses, all courses, but an older course. Um, you could fix a newer course, but it might not have as much things wrong with it. And I'd rather you practice fixing things. You could fix a live course, but then you run the risk um, accidentally deleting something that you didn't mean to delete. You can put it back, but um, you're better off, maybe last fall, last summer.
Leslie,
Yes.
your mic is cutting out slightly. It's
Yeah,
probably just
I'm
your
way in the back of the
distance.
room. Um, so what you need to do is find an older course, open it up, something that you taught last fall, something that you taught years ago, something that you are considering copying into this coming summer or fall. So before you copy all the materials over, you want to clean it up first, make it more accessible, clean it up. So I'm going to open up, I've created a course called My Accessibility Crime Scene because everything in it is not accessible, or the majority of it.
Hey, Leslie,
Yes.
question. What for an old course that where we upload a lot of files and stuff, how
Uh-huh.
do we know what is accessible and what isn't accessible and how does it determine that? Is it just the headline? What is that?
So the scanner is going to, we're going to be using two different scanners. One scans only Canvas stuff, and one will also look into your Word documents and PowerPoints, et cetera. But it's looking for things that if you were a visually or hearing impaired student, how would it stop you from learning? So you have an image, and the assignment says, look at this graph and explain the results, and they can't see it and there's no description for that picture. So it's looking for anything that's going to stop a student. So it's going to assume every picture needs a description or it needs to be marked. It's just decorative. Like for this example, welcome, I could label this as an image that says welcome, or I could just say it's decorative. I don't need my visually impaired students to see that. They're seeing this, their screen reader is going to read the word welcome. They don't need to know there's also an image that says welcome. So I can just say that's decorative, let's go on. But if I have important information in a table and a screen reader really struggles with tables if I don't tell it what the headings are. The word module should be in a separate heading so it knows modules. There's a column of modules and a column of grades. Wait, there's also announcements. It's a horrible table for a screen reader to try to read to a visually impaired student. So there's better ways to make tables and indicate is there a column heading? Is there a row heading? That sort of thing. And then links are also frustrating. If the whole URL is pasted, the screen reader is going to read, http:///. Why doesn't you just have the name there and the link is hidden in the name? So there's just better ways to handle links. So that's the things it's looking for. Anything that's going to slow them down, make it confusing, or just annoying for a screen reader to try to read. This table, the screen reader would leave left to right. So they hear module, grades, weekly content and assignments are in modules, check grades often, important information, but maybe should be organized better so the screen reader knows there's categories of stuff.
Okay,
All
thank
right.
you.
So is that, you're welcome. Okay. All right. Does everyone have a course up? So what we need to do is we need to have buttons on the left that we can click. Accessibility, it should already be there. About, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks ago, that was enabled on our campus. So that button appeared in all of your courses. If you didn't notice, it is there. But we need a couple tools. And the way we do that is we need to adjust the course navigation. So if you scroll down to the bottom and click on settings, and then go to navigation, I have very few things enabled for students to see, and for myself to see. I sometimes see more than the students do, but I still don't see everything. So I need to go find the ones that I need. So there's a couple tools we'll be using. So one is, they're probably at the very bottom, Tidy Up. Both of these are by City Labs, Tidy Up and You Do It. And we purchased them over a year ago. So I'm going to enable Tidy Up. I could also grab it and slide it. Like if I wanted you to do it, I can grab it and slide it up here. Right. Sometimes dragging is good. Sometimes just clicking, like if I wanted this, I could. If I want to disable something, I could click it and disable and it would pop to the bottom. Settings, and then the tab at the top for navigation. And this is where if you've not cleaned up your navigation, if you have everything available to students, like people and pages and syllabus and files and rubrics and quizzes, and that's again another accessibility thing, having too much stuff for them. Disable everything they don't need to get into. They would need to get to grades if this was a graded course, but they don't need assignments if all your assignments are in a module. They don't need pages if all of your pages are also in a module and it's a module run course. They don't need to get to quizzes if the quizzes are all put in a module. If you want your quizzes not in modules and separate, then you need to allow them to get to quizzes, otherwise disable it. So then the important thing to remember is save any changes you made to navigation. So if you scroll to the bottom of this screen and save, yeah, we need to tidy up and you do it. You do it as a little later today, but tidy up's the one we're going to start with. So what tidy up does is it helps you, it scans your whole course and it kind of classifies what's in your files, what's in your pages, do you have 3 copies of the same quiz accidentally? I had an instructor just a week or so ago. He's like, why do I have 2 discussions with the exact same name and students are getting into both? He actually had 3. 2 of them were published, so he's right. Even though only one was in his modules, the second one was published, kids could get to it through their to-do list. So it's not that difficult for things like that to happen. So Tidy Up will help you find that. So go ahead and click on Tidy Up in your course and give it some time to run. You need to, if you want to just scan certain things, like we're just going to look for images or text, etc., I would leave it to all. And yes, I'm sorry, I've been in and out it. Yes. Right. So the question is, will it get rid of stuff that we want to use but not using now? It's not going to get rid of anything without you telling it to. Right now, it's just scanning and giving you information. And then you decide. It does warn you question banks and item banks and quiz questions themselves don't get scanned. So that's more of a manual process is like taking a better look at your quizzes. So any quiz with an image, you need to maybe describe that image or or remove the image, etc. So you notice in Tidy Up, mine's done scanning, and I can go back and look at what I've done in the past. It keeps stuff that's in your file separately than stuff that's in folders. So you might want to look at folders. How are your folders organized? This isn't too bad, but if you have 3 folders that have similar names, like images 1, images 2, images 3, maybe even create a folder for things you are considering deleting. Um, so files are things that were uploaded, images that were uploaded or pasted, that sort of thing. And then Canvas content is anything that has, my mouse is really glitchy. Um, Pages, assignments, discussions. I don't know what my mouse is doing. Yes. Is it, did you, um, did you save? Oh, the very bottom. There you go. Oh, that's fine. So save the changes you made to your, and then it should appear over here. There it is. Yep. So if you look at mine, I've clicked over to Canvas content. Again, it can't get into any external tool. So it's not going to scan Pearson's integration. It's not going to go to new quizzes at all because that is technically an integration. Classic quizzes, it can scan your instructions, but it can't scan the questions. So there is some limitations both for accessibility and usage, et cetera. So don't delete a question bank. It won't tell you if it's being used or not. It doesn't know if the question bank's being used or not. So there are some limitations for that. But you can see here, this course syllabus, I already labeled it as not accessible. It's not published and maybe has good information in there that I'm going to use. I'm going to copy paste some links later. I don't have it in a module, so that's kind of safe. The students can't get to it, also because it's not published. And there is content in it. Sometimes you create a page and you never put anything in it. So if this was empty, I would know delete it right now. There's no reason to keep it. Um, I have a page here that's uh, called accessibility checker. Um, Same thing, not published. It's not in a module. It does have content. You can see the last time you updated it. How old is it? Down here, this is telling me where this is being used. I'm sorry, my mouse is being ridiculous. So that column is used in, so this particular one, your profile and settings, I'm using it in several different spots. That looks like it's probably an image. So this is where you make choices. If I want to just delete this, I can delete it now. If I want to first download it, I can save it. So if I can click on it and see what is in it. I'm sorry. Go back to my tidy up result. Scan it again. Okay, my mouse stopped working. Working now. All right, so if I decide I'm considering deleting these, let's say they're really old, maybe they're from 2023. If I want to save them first, like I'm going to download them before I delete them out of here. You can check more than one and then download them, save them. If I realize, you know what, I want to organize my files better, I'm going to move them into a different file. These are not being used at all. I didn't, let's say that says 23. I can go ahead and delete them, download them. So if you're in an older course and there's something that you know you need to delete, you'll sometimes have more than one. Um, I've tried one PNG, try it PNG. It's the exact same image, and I'm not even using it in anything. That might be a good one to just delete. And then here's another one. I'm just going to delete it. If I want to save anything, I can click. I have tilling the soil 1, tilling the soil 1, 1. I've imported that twice and I'm not even using it. The importance of study skills. I might want to keep that PowerPoint. So I'm just going to delete and delete. So I'm jumping over to Canvas content. Again, these are more things like pages. While we're talking about content, modules will not show up here because modules aren't really a thing. They're just a holding space for other things. So module number 1 will have maybe 2 pages, a quiz, and a discussion. If you were to delete number 1, it would just disappear. The stuff in it would stay behind. And then if you imported module 1 from another course again, now you have double of everything. So that's kind of how you get doubled things, is like playing with deleting and re-importing modules, not realizing you didn't delete the stuff in a module. So what you will find here is deletable will be actual files, actual pages, actual quizzes.
Leslie,
You could, yes.
we have a question, or I guess a confirmation. If they are looking at the Files tab and there is nothing in the Used In column, should they assume that that's not that file or that, yes, that document, that file, that image is not being used anywhere in the course?
Right. It got uploaded and maybe was at one time part of a page, and then the page got deleted, but the image stayed behind.
Okay.
Or the quiz question got deleted and the image stayed behind. Usually I have whatever that image was in multiple places in that, but it's not used in a quiz, in a page. It could be, here's the tricky part, it could be in a question bank
Mhm.
or inside a quiz.
Yes, that
That's
was
the
the second
only,
part of the question.
right. Because it knows there's this image in a file somewhere, whatever this exclamation point is for me, or this I. Um, but where it is, it's not sure. So I might want to do a little bit of investigation, or I can obviously see, I got multiple copies of the same one. Um, might want to do a little more investigating before I delete, or save them, delete them, and see what it affects. I always have it saved somewhere to put it back. It depends on what it is. An image I can kind of hover over and see what it is.
hmm And at some level, I would guess, I'm reading Janice Fritz's question in the chat. Again, I just want to repeat what Leslie has said. The suggestion would be to not be overzealous in deleting. Make sure
Yes.
you know where those documents or images or whatever those pieces are, know what they are attached to. At one point, right, we figured unless you've done a lot of copy, delete and copy in kind of thing, you should have had a reason, or there was some reason that you added the image or, used that to create your question as part of your question bank, those types of things. So sometimes it's literally just kind of refreshing what is what is in each question, where is this being held? And this is kind of just that high level overview using Tidy Up to just see what actually is out there. I don't know about you, but my file drawers sometimes get really full. And I'll think, oh, I didn't even know that was out there.
But here you can see I have the course card uploaded twice.
Hmm.
One of them's being used as the course image. The other one's just sitting in my files. There's no reason why I shouldn't delete this one. It's just taking up room and making, anytime I copy a course to the next semester, it's taking longer, it's dragging it behind. Um, Someone asked the lock, it has to do with access restricted. So I'm not sure what that lock is. That's the first I noticed it. I was copying, if you're not familiar, we have this whole Canvas Commons. And so I was copying things out of the Commons just to have double stuff. Um, but here, this college readiness PowerPoint is actually being used. If I had another copy of it, I might want to delete the second copy. This is used twice in the same. So it's just it just gives you an idea. If you have, syllabus 1, syllabus 1-1, syllabus 1-1-1, syllabus 1-1-1-1-1, then you know you've copied that same thing into the course multiple times. And the way that happens, if you use course import or copy to or within Canvas, it doesn't always check that um, you have a repeated file. If, however, let's say I have a Word document that, and we'll see that later. So this training document, it's a Microsoft Word document, and I know it's old, and I'm working on one on my computer that has the exact same name. If I use files and upload the new one, it'll ask me, hey, you already have something called training underline document.docx. Do you want to replace it or rename it? And have two files with similar names. So using the file upload is a better way to kind of replace documents within Canvas than copying from an older course. But
Leslie,
we'll
we have
get
a
to that at
question.
about step 4. Yes.
Bonnie, go for it.
Okay. Thank you, Leslie. So question. So I'm looking at my list in Canvas content, and I see that I have many items that are published in modules and has content. 3 green bubbles. So does that mean I need to do something with that file? Or what am I trying to determine at this screen?
So that's telling you that's something that you're using. It's actively using, it's published, so students are actually seeing it. You can go investigate to see where it is. It's possible
Does
that
that
maybe you could
does
replace it,
that
but
mean does that mean sorry, does that mean I have a problem on that page?
no, the tidy up is just scanning everything you have and showing you what you have in one place.
Okay.
So
Okay.
like this here, this whatever this is, it's being used. If I go to Canvas content, this thing is published, it's active, students, so it's a start here button that I want to leave. This has got 3 check marks. Your Canvas dashboard, I'm probably training what that is. I could delete it because maybe I'm making a new one. But yeah, this is kind of warning you, you have all this good stuff, but you also
Okay.
have some stuff that's not, not published, like these top things. Maybe I don't need those anymore. It's not published, it's not in a module, it has stuff, but it's old. I can go ahead and delete it right now, or I can check it and download it, or check multiple. If you check multiple and download it, zips them together. So you would need to unzip it afterwards, but you could go through and say, I'm going to download those, delete them, and see what it did, or download them, fix them, and re-upload them if it's something like a Word document or an Excel document.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yep. All right. We are,
Hey, Leslie,
yes.
if you have a bunch of documents that you don't want to delete but may have issues, is there somewhere you can store those in your Canvas for use at another time that isn't going to count against you for accessibility?
Um, I know what you're saying. When you scan, no, if it's in your course, even if it's not published, a Canvas scan's going to flag that it's not accessible. So
Oh,
if it's But nobody's expecting 100%, accessibility for every course. But if you have 30% accessibility, maybe getting rid of some of those or updating them, or the goal is to show improvement over time. So just yesterday, I installed a program that can scan the whole semester, every course. So I scanned winter 26. So I have a baseline. 6 months from now, if I rescan winter 26, I would hope it's better, or I compare it to fall 26. Fall 26 should be better than winter 26 was because we're moving forward in time. So we just want to be able to show improvement. And maybe special trainings on, Spencer referred to it as like the low-hanging fruit, like describing images. If everybody could focus in the month of October on making sure all their images are described, then the score is going to go up the next scan, 'cause that's an easy fix. Yes, I have a question. Yes, Joe asked, could we copy them to like a dummy course or a sandbox course? Yes, if you pull it out of, because live courses have a live semester attached to it. I'm not going to be scanning sandbox courses. We're not going to be scanning development courses until they're done, and then we look at them. So yeah, if you had the materials in a course that's not a live in-use course, yes, you could move them there into a sandbox and pull them out as you fix them or need them, et cetera. So that would be one way to hide it. You're right. If you didn't
That's a
want them
great
popping up.
suggestion. Thank you.
Yes. All right. So we probably need to move on because the goal is not to, spend, fix this one course you're in, just give you the tools. Okay, now I know what I can do, how this works. So the next thing we're going to do is fix Canvas content by using the Canvas accessibility scanner. So if you didn't enable that in your navigation, or no, I'm sorry, this one's already navigated. So if we click on the accessibility scanner, this one was created by Canvas and just released a couple months ago. I'm going to click update. So you need to either start the scan or update the scan, and it'll go through and give you kind of a score. I can tell you which department, like when I scanned yesterday and then score, nursing's the worst. Probably because you have files like in there. I think it was one of the ADN courses that had probably had 3,000, old documents in it. And so, you know, yeah. Yeah, and you leave the old stuff in there. And that's the thing, publishers, when they give you a PowerPoint, they should now have fully accessible PowerPoints, not, you know, um, with alt text and so on. So I thought that was interesting. So you can notice some of the things. So if you look in your handout, those of you in class, it's the very back page, so flip it over. Those of you online, it was the second download. These are the things that Canvas and both you do it are looking for when they're looking for accessibility. So missing alt text. Alt text is alternate text. That is if they are visually impaired, low vision, blind, etc., can't see an image. You need to provide an alternate for that image. It might mean you can't put that picture of that table. You have to put an actual table. So you grabbed a screenshot of a graph and just pasted it in a page. Nope, you need to describe that it's a graph that has this on the x-axis, this on the y-axis, showing a trend over time that population is growing until this date, and then it dropped. And then you can ask questions like, what do you think happened on this date? And oh, that was the plague and whatever. So it's describing. It's also helpful for people in low internet situations. If their device is struggling to load images, they can still see the alt text, so they can see that whole description. So it's not only accessible for visually impaired, it's accessible for people that just don't have the technology or have low Wi-Fi, or they can still proceed on with the course if they need to. Heading errors. Screen readers like to know how you organize. If you think back in the day when we made outlines for our papers, you had Roman numeral 1 and Roman numeral 2, and then you had underneath Roman numeral 1, you had capital A, and then underneath capital A, you had the number 1, and then you had lowercase a. There's that whole built-in In computers, they're now heading level. So heading 1 should be the title of the page. In fact, Canvas doesn't let you have a heading 1. That's the name of a page. Heading 2 is the first one you can use. So that would be like your capital A's and your capital B's. So the first thing, you have should be a heading 1. You can't skip to heading 3. Some people like to skip to heading 3 because they like that font better. And, they don't want to adjust it. Or they don't have heading levels at all. They're using make the font bigger, bold, and blue. That's my heading 1. And then I want it a little bit smaller in dark green. That's my heading 2. You have to officially give heading levels. Low contrast is text that's difficult to read due to the background. So having yellow text on a gold background is going to be very difficult for someone visually impaired to read. Having poor link text, using the click here or just pasting the whole URL. Links are supposed to have a description. Click here to go to this website. And that whole thing is what they click. Or just the name of the website. But having http:// www. The screen reader is going to read all of that unless you add a link to text. So that would be what poor text is. And then tables, if you have merged cells in a table, you have not indicated what the title of or the caption of the table is, described it, not have you didn't designate this as officially the heading row so that the screen reader can read that, is considered non-acceptable or non-accessible. And then for missing captions, that would be closed captions in a video. Eventually, it would be adding audio description. So if something important is happening on the screen, the video needs to pause and say, the teacher added a clear chemical to the test tube and the test tube immediately turned green. And then the video continues because that's not described in the video, but a visually impaired person would not have seen that chemical turn green or that the chemistry teacher added a chemical and caused that physical and chemical change, et cetera. So audio descriptions for important things that are happening need to be added to videos. And then for your brain, focus on at the bottom, prioritize anything that's a barrier. Then, what does this graph say? And it's a picture of a graph. You can't ask those kind of questions anymore, have those in assignments. That's an actual barrier. It's blocking their ability to participate. And improving structures, will a screen reader still read HTTPS? Yes. Will the student still be able to click on it with their device? Yes. But it's almost like a frustration level when it's structure type stuff. And then the last thing to work on is usability. If it's just where things are and how it's organized on the page. So kind of prioritize, fix the barrier ones first, the things that are stopping them from continuing on. So text contrast, that could be a barrier if they can't read it well. So that's just going in, and 20 issues in my course is I have bad color choices. Alt text, I have at least 6 images that aren't described, or if it's just decorative, I put a picture of a sunflower on every single page because that's my favorite flower. Those are just decorative. Mark them decorative and it'll skip it for visually impaired. How I formatted lists. Tables don't have headers, so screen readers have difficulty reading them. And then tables themselves, Canvas really likes tables to also have a description. So this is a table of financial data. And it'll show you how to fix that. The nice thing about the running this accessibility scanner is you fix it as you go. So if I want to start on my welcome page, or I want to sort and start with my announcements or something like that, you can sort what Canvas content it's looking at. It's not looking, because I use the Canvas accessibility scanner, it's not necessarily going to find things that are not Canvas related. So your Word files and your PowerPoints and things like that. But if I want to click fix, so you can start this as well, find something that needs to be fixed, and it'll open up a pane and give me the opportunity to fix it. Mine, it's a picture with alt text. There's my welcome. I could describe it and say a nice big welcome sign with colorful balloon figures in the background, or I can just say it's decorative. Screen reader, ignore it. They know the visually impaired doesn't need to know that I have the word welcome already on the page. I don't need a second welcome. If it's not decorative, then in a sentence or two, describe it. Yes.
I feel that's kind of disingenuous because I'm not sure visually impaired what, how they possibly get the information.
Right. So we had an in-class question about it's a very informative image, how to handle that. I'm not sure if you can create what's called an alternate page for that student where it's not graphs, it's more table information. Like how would you handle a blind student in your course when they can't read a graph? So maybe they don't get that question. We'll see where we can, when it gets to especially um, you can have Canvas create an alternate page where they get that one instead. But yeah, it's sometimes impossible to describe what the image is. And then you don't want to, all the other students, you take away an activity or an experience that's important for them to have. So there's that. So you might have to have a modified assignment for um, that student. So yes, another question in class. Mhm. Yeah, if it scans, we'll see what you can maybe try the You Do It scanner to see. The question was if once he fixed everything that's flagged here, does that mean he's good? I would say yes. The You Do It scanner is going to delve a little deeper, looking for Word documents and Excel documents and PDFs um, but yeah, the goal is it's going to improve. Yes. Yeah. So the question was, one, if he's fixing last fall's and he fixes everything and then copies it forward to this fall, will it copy all those new stuff and he'll be accessible in upcoming fall? Yes. All right, so I'm going to mark this one decorative and click apply, and it's going to jump me to, I'm going to save it and go to the next one. So it did save. So now I only have 10 issues. I have a start here button. It's low contrast. It's yellow on a kind of dark blue. This one I'm going to have to fix differently, or it doesn't like the background and the foreground common. So I can change the color, pick maybe a darker color. Notice it's letting me fix it right here in the Fix It tab, change the text color, and it passed. I just needed to pick a darker color for the text and go on to the next issue. So for these, stay in the pane is the tip to go through and fix what needs to be fixed. Other stuff, if it's like a video, we might need to fix it outside of Canvas, but anything that can be fixed within the Canvas accessibility, it's going to fix it. Here's somebody used text dots of some sort instead of using the bullet points within Canvas. So it looks like a list, but it isn't formatted as one. So now those are official bulleted list, and I can fix that and save as next. With alt text, we might see later in Word, Word likes to, AI will give you 3 paragraphs describing a image. They should be done with just a couple phrases. Having, I'm going to skip this one because it's having trouble loading. All right, so here's a table where it doesn't have a caption. So this is a table of student tips. And my keyboard's not typing. Now, there we go. So I can add a caption to the table. It also, so now it has assignment rubric. It wouldn't let me type. Yes. This one, I'm going to come back later. It's not quite the table needs some help, so I'm going to skip it for now. Skip that one for now. It doesn't like this yellow start here. That one's an easy fix. So I can change it to a darker color. Okay, that was an image, not an actual video. So notice it's looking within anywhere that Canvas has the rich content editor. That's what it's able to scan. If you are ever, I just pulled up a page and went into editing. So this is a rich content editor where within Canvas, because you can do things like bold and et cetera. You can fix things while you're in the rich content editor. It will show you, if I can scroll appropriately. Right now, I still have 4 issues on this page. And when I click on it, it'll let me fix it here. I need alt text for an image. I think it's this little image up in the corner. I'm going to mark it decorative. Yeah, it was this line across the page. That's a decorative image. I can apply that. So you can fix things while you're going. So if you're typing something, typing directions for an assignment, and you get to the, I can't get to the box to exit out. There we go. But I only have 3 images. So right before you save and publish something, look at the little accessibility checker. It'll warn you that things are off. For tables, when you click on the table, here's all the table formatting. These down arrows gives me more. So here's where I can get into table formatting. And I can tell it for this particular table, I'm going to go into properties. Whoops. And show the caption, add a caption, change the colors. I need to tell it maybe insert a row above and type modules up here. And label this as the header row. So I can kind of go into the properties, go into row and row properties. It's not a body row, it is a header row. So there's ways to do things manually as you're building. It visually didn't change it a whole lot, but for the screen readers, it knows that this is a header. So it'll read, column 1 is mod. Cell 1 has weekly content. Cell 2 has column 2 is, and it'll read the header as if it's a header and then read the information in the table as its contents of a table. So I still have this scrolling. More accessibility issues. I have the table should include a caption. This is a different caption. It won't let me type. This is missing a header. Tell it there's a header row and apply it. Images should have an attribute. I'm going to say this one's decorative, apply, and there I get my little congratulations. This particular page is accessible. So if I ran the scan again, it would flag that as accessible. I can save the page. So you can fix things through the accessibility scanner and open up the pane and go one at a time as you go, or you can, as you're building it, use that little accessibility at the bottom of the RCE to note, ooh, I got to fix a couple of things. I'm really bad at taking a screenshot of something, pasting it right in, and it gets the name image with a bunch of numbers. So that would immediately flag and say, oh, you need alt text for that, not just the image name. So you can, as you move forward, you're a little more aware of what needs to be fixed. Yes. Right. So the question is, how do you test it to see once it's over? There is what's hard is the screen readers are specialized software that need to be installed in different, I contacted someone in disability services and they're like, the students always come with it already installed in their devices. They don't have a recommended screen reader because it depends on who their therapist is and when they learned how to use it, that sort of thing. But there are, let's see if I can open up a page. You can at least pull up maybe the immersive reader. There's also, it'll give you an idea of how notice it's, so it'd be interesting to see how it gets down to the table. I can't find where the table would be. This we've just fixed. And then that's where it kind of stopped. I wonder if we can get it to start. All right, let me see. I'm going to let it go to go past the table. So the comment was the student would reach out if they ran across the table that was formatted poorly. Click here, download here. Yeah, that was the table. That was very confusing. So yeah, so there are some immersive readers depending on your device. Apple has the immersive reader is a Canvas thing, but you can also read naturally. I think is an add-on for Chrome to get it to read screens for you.
Leslie,
Yes.
can you, I guess, reiterate kind of, there's a comment that says this instructor has many images in their course and they've never used alt text before, but they're questioning why none of those are showing up in the accessibility checker. So my thought is
Hmm.
maybe reiterate what tidy up, you do it, and the accessibility link are all, what pieces of your course are each one of those looking at?
So the accessibility should be looking at anything that's a Canvas RCE, so images that are in a page, an announcement, quiz directions, a discussion, the directions or the prompt for a discussion, anything that you typed. So I would assume if they're in there, that they would be scanned or would be, yeah, and
But
flagged
not
if they're
in a
not
quiz,
accessible.
correct? Not in a quiz or quiz question.
Quiz directions, I believe it can get to, but and only classic quiz directions. Nothing in new quizzes it can scan because it's an outside LTI integration. And in both, if you have questions, it can't scan those either.
Okay.
So those you would have to. Now, when you open up the question, the RCE may give you a flag that it's not accessible. And you can also, I don't know if I have a quiz in here. That's something I can test.
And again, I wanted to circle back and make sure that we are answering this question correctly for Janice. Janice, I think our goal, not I think, our goal will be even if we today have, let's say, 100 quiz questions, they all have an image in them. Today, our goal would be, all right, but at the end of the month or end of next month, let's do that because the end of March is really close. End of next month, we want to have at least 25, out of those 100 that have an alt text. Those images, something associated with it to help move us in the right direction when it comes to having those quiz or questions be accessible. Does that help?
That does help. I'm going to expand from just trying to find them because I was going to find them and try and put some alt text on, but I couldn't find them through accessibility. They're mostly in quizzes. How do I put alt text in for a quiz image that doesn't give away the answer? Because my images are all identify the structure at the arrow to fulfill my course objective of being able to identify anatomical structures.
Okay, those types of questions are never accessible. You would need to, if you want all of your students to take it, and then anyone with a disability, you would have to give them an alternative question or excuse them from that questions. But you're right, that's an impossible accessibility issue. And that's, one of the reasons why new quizzes, it's not fully accessible and it never will be because it has the ability to do a hotspot question like click on the state of Alaska, on a map or click on the aorta on the heart. You can't for visually impaired students without giving it away, So you would need to have an alternate modified version of the test.
Okay, I won't go into what that alternated, moderated, what that might look like if I ever encountered an online student with that type of visual disability. In terms of making sure not to make it all about button clicking, but to make sure that we look compliant, does that mean if I put in any kind of alt text on those questions, then at least when it gets read by any sort of checker, it will show up as being good?
Yes, and your alt text could be diagram of a body part to be identified,
Okay,
something like that.
that's excellent. That's a copy pastable statement that I can use 100 times.
There you go.
I'm
All right.
also going to make note of that, and I'm going to work with Brenda Rinke to see if there's some type of suggestion. We would want to have those students identify if they were to be, enrolling in one of those courses, in your courses in particular, but any student that may have this need for the accessibility uh, test questions in particular, I'm going to ask if she has resources or ways that we might be able to at least think, not that we need to do, but that we would think alternatively for what those students may have a need for. So I'll tap into her and then we can reply kind of as follow-up after today's training.
All right. I can imagine we could do it by touch, but that would require creating the test items here and then shipping them to the student, which would be something that could be accomplished. But otherwise, it's a course objective, so I don't know how we would actually be able to address that by saying, well, you just don't have to identify any body parts.
Would not be a good outcome. Would not be a good outcome. Absolutely. But no, let me see if Brenda has some ideas, and there might even be resources should we come upon those students that would need to fulfill those objectives. We might have some other alternatives, and I'll see what she can share with us.
All right. Thanks.
All right, so we are going to go on. So with the Canvas accessibility checker, the key is scan it, use that side pane to fix it, scroll through, skip ones that you can't do right now, want to get back to later, or it's easier to fix it within the rich content editor, or just replace it. I'm going to use a different table or make that table from scratch. So skip the one that got flagged and start a brand new table, or maybe not even make it a table, do the information differently. The next thing on our list is looking at videos. I wanted to kind of break up and get out of Canvas for a little bit. So if you have a video or a ScreenPal account, because we are going to skip over to ScreenPal. Whoops. Need to. I hate these little. I'm trying to get to there. This is where I was trying to get to. This was hidden behind the Zoom buttons. Yes. Yeah, that's fine. So we are going to take a 10-minute break. Those of you in class in bathrooms 1 floor down. We are going to video next. So if you have a video to fix or that needs to be fixed, oops, where am I? We can, if not, if you don't have a, let me jump to, all right, either one. So in module 3, making videos accessible, this is back on that accessibility training course. Kind of the before you begin, there's a couple steps. You have to have an SC4 ScreenPal account. So there's a link to the website if you already have an account. If you do not, there's a link for joining using the SC4 code and getting a free account with all the bells and whistles. And then have at least one video ready to add. It's either already at ScreenPal or you created it and it's on your device. If you don't, I have a practice video you can download. So if you click on this, so I went to the training course and then I jumped to module 3, which is using ScreenPal to add captions. And then the very first page is like, before you begin, you must. So either we're going to go to the ScreenPal site or you're going to join and create an account. And then here is a practice video. It's like a under 2-minute video with narration that you can edit. So you click on practice video and then download it. What? Okay, so if you've not joined, join and then download that practice video. Just click on open it and click on the down arrow and save it someplace you're going to be able to find. And then we'll upload that to ScreenPal and fix it. All right, so 10-minute break. So we will start back at 12:15. Yes. Yeah. demo screen. All right, you about ready to start again? All right, we're going to get started. We're about 4 minutes past our deadline. So, Joe and Craig.
And Leslie,
Yes.
we've got some very specific questions about ScreenPal in the
Okay.
chat. So maybe I can read those to you real quick while everyone gets settled in the
Okay.
classroom.
Yes.
Is ScreenPal just for videos we make themselves, or if there was a video we found online that wasn't already captioned, can it be imported to ScreenPal to add the captions?
Yeah, so ScreenPal. So the question online is ScreenPal just for making videos? No, you can, if you have a video in MP4, WMV, there's a whole list. I'm struggling with ScreenPal right now. Somehow I've locked myself out. I have a feeling one of the links I had, because I did not try 10 times to log in. But if you go to, let me pull up the ScreenPal website. So you can, of course, when you click create, you have lots of choices. Recording a video, they now have changed. In the past, when you recorded, you had to download the software, and the software had to be installed on your device. And then every video you recorded saved on your device, so your device was filling up with projects that weren't quite finished. And even if you uploaded them to ScreenPal because they're done, it left behind the project and so on. Now everything is done online. So even when you go to record a video, it can do it online. You can edit videos, but if you click upload content, I thought it would show me. No, you could, so I was gonna show you the different file types. So if you have an MP4, if you have, I think WMV, a couple other, or just images, you can upload those all to ScreenPal and just create a video like in a project. So you can bring in some video clips that you got from someplace else, add a few images, add some voiceover, or you have a whole video and you just want ScreenPal's AI to add captions to it. It actually listens to the sound file and interprets that using AI into words. And then you have a captioned video that you can edit if it chose the wrong word. A lot of times in science, there's some pretty specific words and it picked the wrong one. And you can just fix the typing and so on. So no, it does have the ability to record screen, camera, or both, like the screen with the camera in the corner. But yeah, you can just upload a video that you recorded on your phone and then edit it in ScreenPal, add the accessibility, etc. You're not stuck with only using ScreenPal recorded videos. I had a question in the classroom about the difference between ScreenPal and YouTube. They both can hit accessibility requirements, so there's no one's not better than the other. It's just the goal is if you have videos for students, they should be accessible. In my opinion, they should also be outside of Canvas. You shouldn't be uploading videos to Canvas because they get very cumbersome. And depending on the device, same thing with PowerPoints. If you upload a PowerPoint to Canvas, that's a huge file, and students are sometimes expected to download them before they can open them and see them. So if there's a way to host a video someplace else, so it's on YouTube, give them the link. If it's in ScreenPal, you can give them the link as opposed to uploading the video from ScreenPal. And so on. Same thing with PowerPoints. Put it in your OneDrive and give them a share link so they can see the video or see the PowerPoint. Don't actually upload it to Canvas because those are huge files that get cumbersome in fill up devices. Yes. Mm-hmm. It's not MP. Yeah. To be accessible, they just have captions that can be read while watching the video. So if there's no captions, then it would be considered. Um, so yes, which hopefully publishers now with this new law are going to be um, giving both PowerPoints and videos, all of those teacher resources, PDFs that are readable, and so on. They should be upping their game as well. Um,
Leslie, we have a couple of questions online.
right. All right, we got a couple more online questions.
Is there a way to convert .webm files from Clipchamp to ScreenPal?
Not with ScreenPal. That's not a file. The question is WEBM files. I believe there's probably some applications out there if you Google convert to MP4 or something, but they might be a paid thing. But I don't think ScreenPal can handle those.
Okay. Our next question is a broad one that is probably floating on a couple of people's minds because there were a couple reactions to this question. The goal of today is to increase their knowledge of accessibility over time, but is this something that once the scan is run and I guess rerun as a check that they are it's a project that they should continue to work on? Or is this something that like has a hard and fast rule that says, hey, if your course isn't accessible or doesn't meet a certain percentage, that there's, I don't know, a red flag that goes up or something along those lines?
Well, the goal is just improvement. So no one is going to say your course is not accessible and bring a hammer down or anything like that. So showing as a campus we're improving, as departments are improving, we can focus, now that I can like scan a whole course if, training on just videos, if that is an obvious issue, or just tables and images and that sort of thing, or I don't know, contacting publishers to get better accessible tools. But no, there's not going to, and with scanning, again, it's basically a number and a percentage. 23 videos were scanned and 15 images. And the next time we scan 6 months later, and that number's gone down. In a perfect world, we should be 100% accessible, but that's not probably ever going to happen.
And I guess one follow-up, do you know if ScreenPal or even YouTube, like do any of those work with a foreign language?
I'm pretty sure with unfortunately, I can't test anything. I'm locked out. ScreenPal, when you are about to take a video and translate it, you tell it what the language it's in. So I think it'll handle different languages. And I know things like YouTube, I think you can have the captions changed to different languages, but the language has to exist. Did you have more to add or another question?
I my rate of success with captioning when videos switch from English to French is just really poor.
Okay, so Joe Gibbons was looking at ScreenPal and it says that it will translate videos. If you had a video all in Italian, it'll do the captions in Italian. Because I just remember once there was a prompt to tell it what language the video is in.
Right, but the problem is if you're switching, if you're doing like pronunciation exercises and you're talking about the pronunciation exercise in English and then going ahead and producing that sound, the captions get all messed up.
Yeah, it's probably switching back and forth that it
Right,
can't
and it's not
do.
switching back and forth in a way that works.
Right.
So uh, I, I have no idea what to do about that.
Do you want the other language translate? Because you can edit once ScreenPal's AI gives a best guess of what you're saying, the text is editable. So you could go back and edit
Right,
it
but you
easily.
know how long that takes?
Oh, I know.
If you
I
do
can't.
like a 10-minute video,
Yes.
what I'm saying is it doesn't really work, except what it does is it'll provide, prompts so that you can go to the minute and second of a video and adjust what's there. But even that becomes kind of sketchy sometimes with ScreenPal.
Correct.
So you don't know of any other way to do captioning that will work for changes in language within a video?
Not offhand. I mean, I know you
Okay.
can have, you make the video and you could upload a text file of what the text should be. But again, that would be you listening to the video and typing what you said and putting timestamps. So that would even be more cumbersome. Possible, but cumbersome. So, but something to look into. All right. So with I think we might skip the screen pal portion, but I just because I can't get in and so I can't even demo. Um, and apparently the download of the video isn't working for people. But the idea is if whether you open up a video in ScreenPal or upload a video or create a video from scratch, it will, there's a beautiful purple button to press that uses AI to listen and put the text in for you. Um, what I did want to point out is this little hot button. When you're in the RCE, so let's say I wanted to add a video to this page. If I don't see it in this top row, the three dots, well, it's because I've zoomed in, so I made my screen smaller. This button here is the ScreenPal Deep Link connection. So if you're putting videos in Canvas and they're ScreenPal related, use that button for a couple reasons. One, it makes a connection between the Canvas instance and the video at ScreenPal. And we discovered, it was Julie actually, we were taking one of her videos that she had used that button to put the video in her course. And we went to ScreenPal together and made it accessible with captions with the idea of go back to the course, delete the old bad one and insert the new one. And the old bad one was fixed because that link had been created. Anything you fixed in ScreenPal updated in Canvas instantly. So all of a sudden that video was captioned. You didn't need to delete it and reinsert it and so on. So this puts that link between ScreenPal and the video. So when I click on that, be interesting if it works. I can go, so it did log me in here. So I can go grab a video. Here's one, the one that we were gonna play with today. Add that to my course. I can go find images that I uploaded. You can take, I was playing around with this, similar to Edpuzzle, and Edpuzzle might be going away in the next year or so. That's to be determined. But similar to Edpuzzle, you can take a video and the video can be on YouTube or it can be one you created and create quizzes, and then it updates automatically to the or the Canvas gradebook. So a student takes a quiz on your video and then they pass it, the grade goes in. So you can, with ScreenPal, you can add, so if I wanted to add this video to my course, when you're adding videos to course, oh, this is something I wanted to point out. It'll automatically it closed captioned this one already for me. I did that already. AI will make a little summary of the video, and then I can decide, do I want captions? These captions here And these captions here are slightly different. These are the ones that I created and edited and made sure are right. If I have a video that's not captions, I can turn on and it's kind of like real-time captioning. So you don't want both of these. If you have this button here, don't turn on this one because it adds another layer of caption, so you get double captioning. Um, and then you never want to turn on autoplay. That is not accessible. What that does is as soon as the page opens, the video starts. And if you are a blind student and you can't find the pause button, it's very annoying. You got this loud video playing at home and or in the middle of the library and you can't pause it because you forgot your speakers are on or whatever. So autoplay is considered, I can't even believe they still have that button anymore. But that's something that should never be turned on. And then that's just a look choice. So I can embed the video in Canvas. And so now I have it here. It's going to be closed captioned when it plays with the captions and so on. So use this blue button to link things with ScreenPal. That way, if I ever go to ScreenPal and fix the captions, I notice there's an error and I want to go fix them. They fix them in ScreenPal or updated here. So that's a nice little, and this gives you the ability to do the link and create right on the fly. So I want to quickly record a video and have it inserted. So maybe it's quick directions for an assignment. I can quickly import a video, do just a screen record, show them what I need them to do on the screen, and so on. So it's a quick Canvas connection to ScreenPal. And yes, we have an in-class question. Yes. Month ago-ish, 3 weeks ago-ish.
When we use the AI captioning, it would create a file name for it all. Figure out how to do that. And there is a button to turn that off.
No, the button needs to be turned off. That was all right. I don't know if it'll let me get to. So the question, Joe was questioning, he was having difficulty with a couple things. It wasn't doing the automatic update. Did you use that blue button to initially put the video in? Right. So that might have been where it wasn't connected to begin with, so it had to be deleted and the new one put in. But one thing I want to point out, and I can't get to it, is when you go in to ScreenPal, because I'm not fully in, there is a settings button to automatic rename your videos. So you have this video named perfectly. You have it named BIO-101-A26 Fall. And then you go in to add the captions. And when you're done, it has a whole new name. It's called The Heart. Completely wiped out your name and put a new name because that's what the video is about. There's a button to turn that off for AI to not rename your videos automatically when it's doing captioning. And I can't really show you how to do that, but it's when you get into ScreenPal, click on your user icon, and then it'll be like My Options. And you go in there and there's a checkbox to allow AI to rename your videos. Yes, or something like that, or to stop it from, I forget whether you have to turn it on or turn it off to get the results you want. So for time and the fact that ScreenPal is not functioning for me, we are going to skip ScreenPal and jump to the next one is using You Do It to scan a course. So I'm going to get back to my accessibility crime scene. And You Do It is similar to accessibility. It will scan, but it scans more than just Canvas items. It scans everything. So it's a little bit more in depth. The first time it starts the scan automatically. And then if you want it to scan again, you just click, I'm going to tell it to scan now. So if you can go back to the course you've been working on If you didn't enable you do it, if you don't see you do it on your left navigation, you have to go back into settings, navigation, enable you do it, save, and then you should be able to scan your the project course for accessibility. And then because of my screen size, you should see home and you fix it and review course files. Home will give you results. Not too bad. I got a B+ so far on my content because I already used the accessibility scanner. So in 80, it should, my content, my Canvas content should be good. It's my files that the accessibility scanner might not have, or I didn't fix enough of them. The goal of the law is that if somebody has a disability, they shouldn't have to reveal it to get accessible. And then in some programs, I can't even imagine having that severe of a disability would be in your program. But in my CIS course, yes. Now, some disabilities will have to be revealed. If you need a transcriber, a note taker, you're going to have disability services, get those people for you. Um, but um, but if it's just, my vision's kind of going, or today I don't have my glasses, I should be able to get through today's course, with a visual impairment today, or my hearing aids broke and can I get through it today? So normally I don't need accessibility standards, but I do today. Um, and especially with children, I forget the percentage, but at any given time, like 40% of a kindergarten class, they have an ear infection. They can't hear. They're hearing impaired that day, but not that week, So there's times where it comes and goes. All right, so after the You Do It scan, click on Home to see your overall results. And then there's categories. Some are always easier to fix. Errors are more important to fix than like file issues. A file missing a title isn't as important as colors making it impossible to read. Or tables with headers and rows, poorly formatted tables. You can go through and click on by error, what you want to fix. And then under You Fix It, similar to the accessibility, so if you have a You Fix It button up here, if not due to screen size, you can find it in the drop down. This is where you decide what you want to work on first. And it's kind of giving you an idea. That's an error. The red ones need to be fixed. They're considered errors. The blue ones are suggested. So it doesn't like the link. The link still works. The link is there. It's just poorly worded. So it's not stopping a student from, it's just maybe annoying to listen to it on their screen reader. So on my Canvas dashboard, I have insufficient color. So again, just like the accessibility fixer, you want to do the fixing within their fix pane. So here it's saying, it's showing it's a bad ratio between the background and the foreground. So that's a bad image. My scroller is not, there we go. So maybe the red, I should pick it out. And it's not only visually impaired, it's colorblind as well. So I need to pick a different color than red. And as a family where pretty much every male in my family is colorblind, I would maybe need to pick something other than red to make, and not use red as, the things on the syllabus that are in red are important. You can't see red, that's not helpful. Things with an extra star is important would be a better way to handle that. So you can fix it right in the accessibility manual. Manual resolution is this isn't something that I can fix right here. I might have to go open the file, fix it, or earlier Joe in the classroom was showing me he had a list that it had page numbers as in the as a list. And this is where you could just mark, you know what, I fixed it. It's good enough. It is a list, and the letter P is okay to be the first letter of every column in this list. So there is a way by checking the box, you can say that you've fixed it outside or it's acceptable. You do, it kind of has that skip button. I fixed it, so I can't skip it. And then let's see, what's another one? Again, that's a color one. Yeah, so the question in class was PDFs. Those are tough. Technically, if you make something in Microsoft Word and you use all the heading formatting and you add an image and alt text that image and then you save it as a Microsoft PDF, that's an accessible PDF. If it's something you scanned on a copy machine or it's a publisher download and they haven't gone through all the bells and whistles to make a PDF accessible, they're not. They're more like undescribed images. So sometimes there's not a lot you can do. You might, within Canvas, let me see if I have one. Right. So um, let me find a real course. Um, Trying to find something that the question is, at what point should we give up and start over? That is a thought. Um, yeah, retirement, how far away is it? Uh, I'm trying to get to, let's see. Good. Trying to find a PDF. All right, let me do it this way. All right, so back to the you do it. So there is a file warning that might pop up warning students may have access to files. It's because they, when you run into a situation where you do have a PDF that is not accessible, there is an option to, where'd it go? So this kind of leads to the questions like, what do I do? Somebody said I have, 1,000 files or 70 files that are bad. If it can be fixed directly, here's kind of like your decision chart. Fix directly in Canvas, fix it now. If it's a Word, PowerPoint, or PDF file that students still need, it's key. You can download the original file, fix it. You can't really do that with PDFs, but definitely Word, PowerPoint, Excel. You can download it, fix it, re-upload it. In the You Do It scanner, I can't get it to flag. There's a button to make an alternate file where it will take the PDF and like pull out the text and it'll put it in it like a Canvas page or into another file that is more accessible. And that's kind of what that warning was. The students now have access to your files. No, they have access to those alternate files that have been created because you have a file that's not accessible and you're trying to give them a version that is. But sometimes you just have to make a plan for later. It's a real issue, but it's too large to complete right now. Your video is too long to translate in multiple languages, and we don't have that ability yet to put two languages through using AI into a video. Just make a plan to come back and do it later. Here we go, here's the non-accessible. So if it runs into something that's not accessible, this particular document was a syllabus, it was not accessible, I can request that Canvas do its best to make an alternate version. So take my document and turn it into a Canvas page, and it'll use HTML. It's part of when you are scanning. I can't get the scanner to pause on that. So I'm in a module with directions. So when you get to a non-accessible, I was missing a title element. It doesn't have headings for structure, so I can replace it with a different thing. There's also the ability to, within You Do It offers, to do your best to make a different version of that file. So I would possibly, if it's a publisher PDF, maybe turning it into an e-published or a Canvas page, or an auto-tagged PDF. So you have a PDF, you want to try converting it to another PDF. So there is the ability to, it's kind of like, we're going to do our best right now with what I have and try to get You Do It to convert it to something different. Especially, PDFs are probably the hardest to manually handle if you don't have the pro version of Adobe to fix and open PDF files. The worst PDF files are ones that were laid on a copy machine. Right. So I don't know about retype. Where did they come from? So that might be contacting the publisher, say you need access to accessible PDFs, but by Title II, whatever. But yeah, the question was, what do you do with PDFs from a publisher? Multiple, close to 100 copies that are not accessible. I'd be curious to see how You Do It would handle this. But the idea is what to do. Leave the file in your course. The majority of the students are going to be able to access this and use it efficiently or effectively. Let notice students that there are alternate formats available, and then fix the files when you can. And then making priorities. What do you fix first? Anything that's stopping learning, like they have to have that file. Maybe there's something else. If it's a informational, maybe there's something else, a link to someplace else on the internet that has very similar information, or a YouTube video that has similar information that is in that document. And then once you made a bunch of changes, rescan, see how you did. If you look back at kind of the final page of the handout, I'm sorry, is make a final review, check your progress, rescan using both accessibility and You Do It. Keep track of, that the small fixes here and there add up over time. If you get, this winter, moving forward, there's a few weeks left, so anything new you make from this point forward, check its accessibility, fix it on the fly as you're typing in that rich content editor, alt text your images, run tidy up before you copy and fill your summer course or before you fill your fall course. Maybe fix some accessibility, run tidy up and get rid of the old stuff. Start contacting publishers that you need accessible materials. So any last questions? I know that's a lot. I apologize. All right, the question was, if you enrolled in this course, will it be in your dashboard? Maybe, depends on how full your dashboard is. So let me point this out because this is something, I get this question every once in a while. So I go to my dashboard and I've got a whole bunch of stuff there, but not everything. If I go to my courses, which is below dashboard, I can see an alphabetical list of every course that I'm somehow related to, whether the teacher, student, etc. This is a link that's sometimes missed because if you don't hover it over, you don't see that that's a link. If I go to all my courses, anything that has a star next to it, I have favorited, so I want it on my dashboard. And so, along with published courses that you're teaching. My scroll's not working. So I might decide, I don't need, I personally have a couple different versions of the Faculty Resources Hub. This is probably, I was put in as a teacher to help with something. I don't need that one on my dashboard. So you can clean up what's on your dashboard. So that one you just enrolled in, which is the accessibility training, add a star next to it, and then it will start. As soon as you put the star in and you go back to your dashboard, it'll be there. And if you are not aware, you can move things on your dashboard. So if you decide you want different things in different places, you can move the cards around. Or you can change to a list view. It doesn't have to be card view, but that's kind of weird. So it goes by due dates. Your students like the list view. So if you want that accessibility training, and again, it's training/resources. There's directions on how do I run that you do it. Why, if I don't see you do it on my navigation, how do I get it back? It has to be enabled. You do it and tidy up has to be enabled in every single course. It is not automatically there. Unless you've copied a course, imported a course that had it, you need to manually add it. Yes, anything. So normally you can kind of tell what the students can see and what they can't see. But yes, any of those resources like tidy up, accessibility, even rubrics. I don't think they ever see if you have rubrics enabled, they don't always see those, so they can't see. And you can always put a course in student view. So if I go back to, let me go. I need to get out of this view. So if I go to my accessibility crime scene, you can see tidy up, you do an accessibility, but when I view it as a student, they only see home. So they can't press those buttons. So accessibility, tidy up, and you do it are invisible to students, along with if you had enabled, there's a couple other ones that they never see. And they only see ones that are active. So even though announcements is enabled, I never made an announcement, so they won't see it until there's an announcement made. So it hides buttons for inactive stuff as well. Yes.
Is that so that every time I choose heading 3, it'll always be 14 text?
What application are you in? That I don't know, because Word, I fought that battle last night. Because Word likes to make it super pretty. So that I don't know. That I need to. The question was if I always want heading 1 to be size 14 font and bold, and can I make that the default? So that I'm going to have to research. In Word, when you're doing headings, that's under like, oops. Where are the heading levels? Oh, so let's say I want this to be my normal heading 1. If I go up to heading and right click, I can say update the heading to match that style. So I can create my heading 1 style to be, maybe I want heading 1 to always be size 20 and bold. Now I can right click and tell it that's what heading 1's going to be. And then I can change what heading 2 looks like. Maybe heading 2, it's a little bit smaller and blue. And then things that are subtitled. I think this is like heading 3. I have to go back to normal and so on. So now if I go to heading, it switched to what I decided. But I don't know about Canvas. Yes. Not for copy and paste. And you could embed the Word document. All right, so question, editing. So if I have a Word document and it kind of puts it, oops. So I'm going to go find a document, upload. Let me find a Word. Let me find. All right, so there's a Word document. Open it, submit. So that's that Word document that I just added. If I click on here in my link options, I want to preview it so that they can see it in here and expand it so it opens it up. And now when I save, the question is how do you maintain formatting in Word and bring that into Canvas? So now there's the Word document and it's embedded inside. I know that's something, the comment was they like the face-to-face classes. That's something that we need to up our game on, we as in IT and things like that. Like kind of like this week is this and pick a couple times it's available. Right, well, thank you everyone. I know we've hit our time limit, and so if you didn't come in person, go give yourself a cookie. Okay. Thank you. All right, Paul's thanking
Leslie.
everyone on behalf of the committee for coming.
Yeah. Thank you, Leslie and Deb.
Thank you. It was very good.
Yeah, you're welcome.